Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining me this evening. Tonight, this case was brought to me by Pink Peony, and I'm sure she'll pop in here at some point. It's very important to her, so I had asked people to go over if they had any cases that they thought I could cover. Okay, and she chose this one, so we're going to go ahead and go with this one. Let me go ahead and share the screen. Before we get started, hey Paul, I'm so happy to see you. Hi Lizzie. Hi Lucy. Thank you for coming in. Hey Lazy Bunny. And we have potato casserole. Thank you guys for joining. I really do appreciate that. Okay, let's go ahead. Okay. Hey Lisa, happy to see you. All right. So we're going to talk about missing California woman. I'm sorry, Arlie. And what a beautiful name. I think her name just suits her so well. It just goes with her great. But I'm gonna go ahead and read about her. If you have any questions, I will kinda, like, star them as we go through, and I'll try to answer them at the end. Alright, let's go ahead and get started. Make sure my sound's alright. Lisa's my sound okay? Or Paula, or Lizzie, or Lucy, or Lazy, or Potato. I think it's showing that it's okay, so I'm gonna roll with it. Okay, guys, here we go. So, missing California woman's car found along iconic highway, and her family's been living a nightmare since. When Arlie Garcia, 25, didn't show up to her job near her Salinas apartment and stopped responding to messages from family, they knew something was wrong. Now, Arlie Garcia's pride and joy was the distinctive bright red car she always drove. Now, it was also one of the first clues about the 25-year-old that she was in trouble. Now, Arlie's sister Elizette Ellie Mendoza discovered the customized Honda Accord abandoned on a stretch of Highway 1 in Big Sur, about an hour from home. Hours from learning Arlie hadn't shown up for work. Now, Arlie, an outgoing automotive specialist who loved Starbucks, was studying to be an ultrasound technician. Now, she mysteriously disappeared on September 22nd, 2022, and hasn't been seen since. It's been like a scary movie since the day it happened. Like, it's just been a nightmare, says her sister. Excuse me. What happened to Arlie Garcia? Now, the youngest in a tight knit family of seven siblings, Arlie was known for having a solid work ethic. Her dedication is what made it all more troubling that she didn't show up on that morning of September 22nd to her job as a service advisor at a Chevy dealership near her apartment. Now, her sisters Arlie's sisters say that she usually hits the gym at 5:30 a.m. before heading to work at 7:30 every morning. But on the day she disappeared, Arlie had broke her usual tradition. Security footage has shown that she had left her apartment that she shared with her mom at 6:34 a.m., dressed casually in black leggings and a black hoodie with sneakers. Now, her sisters were struck by the fact that she wasn't dressed for work, even though she needed to be at her job less than an hour later. So at 6:34 a.m., there wouldn't have been time to go to the gym and get to work on time. Now, the footage shows Arlie getting into her red Honda and driving away. But what happened in the hours that followed still to this day remains a mystery. Oh, look how beautiful. Isn't she just gorgeous? Wow. So just before 7 a.m., Arlie texted her sister Veronica, writing, "Good morning. I miss you and my baby. Love you." Well, Arlie was referring in the message to her godson, Veronica's son, Davian. But Veronica, who was sleeping, didn't even get the message for nearly 2 hours later. And then she had replied back, but she never once got a response. Now, police have said they believe another video shows Arlie's Honda passing a general store in Big Sur at 7:30 a.m. Although it's not clear who's driving that vehicle because the windows are tinted. Now, when Arlie failed to show up for work, one of her coworkers reached out to her family at 10 a.m. wondering where she was. She was always on time. She would be involved with all of her coworkers, so everybody pretty much knew like everyone else's day. They would text throughout the day. Now, Arlie Garcia's sisters track her location, but by then, Arlie was not returning any messages. Her sisters were panicked. They used the Find My iPhone app to find her in Big Sur. Well, Veronica and her husband went to report Arlie missing to the police. They headed to Big Sur with her husband. They spotted that bright red car pulled over at a scenic turnout along Highway 1 that overlooked a relatively flat area with lots of underbrush. Now, this car was locked and there was no sign of Arlie. Yet, Ellie noticed something odd about the way that car was parked. What clues were found in Arlie Garcia's car? Now, Arlie had a customized suspension system in that car that allowed her to raise or lower the chassis. Her sisters say that when Arlie parked the vehicle, she usually lowered it all the way down in what I can never say that word, aficionados, I believe is how you say it, refer to as slamming. But this time it wasn't slammed. Now Ellie believed that she just thinks that somebody else had drove that car. Police confirmed after processing the vehicle that the driver's seat was set way back compared to what she would have it because she was only 5'5". There's no way that Arlie would have positioned it that way. So the police found Arlie's phone, wallet, keys, all inside her car, but there were no signs of her though, like nothing. There was no obvious signs of foul play. Now the deputies from the Monterey County Sheriff's Office were also set to the scene. When they arrived, it was already dark, and they were searching the surrounding areas with specialized drones. The drones we use are all well equipped and for searching at night. Monterey County Detective Arius Wilson says they have infrared cameras. They can detect body heat, and there was no indication that she was anywhere near that area. Oh, that's heartbreaking. Gosh. The effort to locate Arlie continued the next day, and with search teams, trained cadaver dogs, and regular search dogs spent 2 days just scouring that area. We essentially searched 4 miles north where her car was found, and 4 miles south of where her car was found. So every cove, every beach, every trail, turnoff, everything was searched, and there was no indication of Arlie. Well, Detective Wilson says the search team looked for footprints, broken branches in the underbrush, anything that could have been recently dropped, such as a candy wrapper, but they didn't find that. To me, as a search and rescue team member and as a detective, it just indicates that she didn't remain in the area where her car was found, says Officer Wilson. Now, the police told Dateline they've interviewed several dozen people about Arlie's disappearance, including her boyfriend, a photographer she met at a car show, along with a coworker, some coworkers, and others, but really, they've made zero arrests. Arlie Garcia's disappearance has similarities to another case. Let me go over here and check chat, make sure I didn't miss anything in chat. Hi, Mark and Betty. 3 days in a row. My goodness, what have I done right? I'm so happy to see you. I hope you're doing good. I really do. So it always cheers me up to see you in chat. Okay, I think chat is good unless something's not showing up. Let me see. It does not look like I know there's two streams going, guys, and I know it's hard to keep up in that way, but for some reason my chat is not showing up right. Oh well, we'll just roll with it. So, guys, if there's anything in chat that kind of needs flagged, please just let me know. Put a caution sign, a red stop sign, something, and I'll take care of it. Okay, back to Arlie. So, Arlie Garcia's disappearance has similarities to another case. Arlie's sisters and investigators have considered the possibility that her disappearance could be connected to the case of 20-year-old Kaylee Gamil, another woman of color who went missing about 5 weeks before Arlie. Now, the two young women lived just a mile apart and both had long dark hair. Well, I don't know. Hopefully, there's more than that. At this point, we're not sure, Veronica said. And of possible connection between the two cases, I mean, they're both young. They're both women of color. They both went missing in the same area. It's very shady. I could see where family would be a little concerned with that, but I don't know if that's enough. We'll see. Let's continue. So, Gamil's body was discovered on August 30th, 2022, in Big Sur, about 200 yards from Highway 1. Now, Detective Wilson and the Monterey County Sheriff's Office, as lead detective in Gamil's homicide case, he told Dateline that while he isn't ruling out any possibilities, to date, he's seen no evidence that the links of the two cases, they just don't link together. I guess maybe they just couldn't find enough than just terror and being the age. Now, their police department is investigating Arlie's disappearance, and they've said they've ruled out a connection between the cases for sure. Okay, well, then I guess that's done. Nearly 2 years after Arlie disappeared, her parents remain desperate for answers and believes that she's still out there alive somewhere. We know she's going to come back one day, Ellie said. At the time of her disappearance, Arlie was described, and I'm going to stop here because I want to play. There is a short by Tactical Hippie. She is on Facebook, and I hope that I saved that. Let me go back and look and see if I'm pretty sure. I hope I did share her short because she did excellent. Okay, and I don't think I did. Imagine that. Okay, guys, give me just a second. Let me see if I can get over there and find hers. But if you're not following Tactical Hippie on Facebook, I'll pull it up here. Maybe I can. She may have changed. It's kind of hard to. Oh, yeah, she changed her logo, but it's still Tactical Hippie. Okay, good. I will share that so you guys can go over there and follow her if you would like to. She does flyers, but she did a really good short. Um, oh my goodness, I can't believe I lost her already. Hmm. Oh my goodness, guys. Sorry. I am so sorry. Let me do it this way. Sorry. Sorry you hear me typing. Well, actually, she may not have that still up there. Oh, well, goodness. I really wanted to use that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and rate it. At the time of her disappearance, Arlie was described as 5'5", 150 pounds, with brown hair and brown eyes. Anyone with information about her disappearance is urged to call Detective Edwin Cruz with the Salinas Police Department at 831-758-7393. And while I play this next video, which I'm warning you all now, it is of Nancy, and I know that you either love Nancy or you hate Nancy, but in all honesty, it doesn't. I mean, she asks the hard questions, and sometimes you really have to, ask the hard questions. So, I like Nancy, but some of you may have a problem with it. I get it. She can be a bit much, but, sometimes you have to be a bit much, right? Oh, and you know what? I did find her, thing real quick. Well, great. That worked out great. Let me share. Which one is that? The second one? Here we go. Okay, let me share this, and this is by Tactical Hippie, guys. Like I said, I didn't put it in here. Okay, let me share this first, and then I'll put her link. I'm all backwards today, guys. I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on with me. It's backwards. Okay, there is her link on Facebook. That's where you can find her. And then I'm going to go ahead and share this. Let me see if I can't make that a little bigger. We can't see it like that. Hope I can't because it's Facebook and it's a short. Okay.
Arelie Garcia was last seen on September 22nd, 2022 in Salinas, California. She can be seen leaving her apartment on Roosevelt Street at 6:34 a.m. She was not due to start her shift at work until 7:30 a.m. Arelie never arrived at work, and she has never been seen or heard from since. The last place that her cell phone pinged was in the Big Sur area, which is about an hour drive from Salinas. Her red Honda Accord was found parked in a pull-off on the side of the highway. Her car was locked, the keys were in the ignition, and her phone and her wallet were also inside. Arelie's Honda had customized air suspension, and it could raise and lower the chassis. Normally, when she parked, she lowered the chassis all the way to the ground. However, when her car was found, it was not lowered to the ground and the driver's seat was pushed all the way back. Arelie has not been heard from or seen since. Arelie Garcia was last seen on September 22nd, 2022 in Salinas.
Okay. Mark and Betty, I'm so sorry. I should have explained that. I have 2 different streams going. I have, like, the computer version and then people that can watch it on the phone. So you're probably just over there by yourself, and I am so sorry. But there is another stream, like, for phones, it's a little easier to see. Hey, Pink Peony. I'm so glad you popped in. I told them that this was the case that you wanted to. So, of course, because you picked the case tonight, if you want to, I'm going to give you the option to mod. Do you want to mod tonight or you just want to listen? Because whoever wants to throw out cases to me, when I cover the case, that person gets to be mod tonight. So no one is any better than anyone else. So if you want to mod for me tonight, you absolutely can. And if you don't want to, I get it because you and I both have been mods for a long time. So, hi, Dragon Classy Diamond Art. Happy to see you. Thank you for coming in. I'll wait for Pink for just a minute. Well, actually, I'll go ahead and play it. And if she wants to, I'll go ahead and do that while we're playing this. But like I said, the next one's going to be Nancy. And I do understand a lot of people don't care for Nancy. But you know what? When it comes to the missing people, I'm just going to share, the factual information for sure because so much misinformation is ruining cases and we just don't want to do that. I think this one is Nancy. I hope this one's Nancy. Where you at, Nancy? I can show you kind of where they searched beforehand. Let's do that just to be safe because I want you to see what these people had to go through. You get nervous modding? Okay, no big deal. Um, you want to mod? Okay. Mark and Betty has not modded yet for me. Mark and Betty, all that I ask is that can you think of one case and then that it doesn't have to be right now, but kind of think of a case that you think I would be good at covering. That way I can kind of say, okay, I modded Mark and Betty for a night because of this case, because somebody will be childish and somebody will have a fit, I'm sure. So while I'm playing this, I will go ahead, Mark and Betty, and yes, you can tonight. I'll absolutely let you. Pink says she gets nervous modding, so Pink, do you mind if Mark and Betty takes your spot tonight? Dragon, what I kind of do is, I mean, whoever, what it is I know there's so many people that never get a chance to be a mod, and then there's so many mods that kind of take advantage of the fact that they are mods. So I want this channel to be like a when you pick a case, you get to mod that night. That way I know that you're dedicated to the case and that you would have no problem with removing someone being disrespectful and it gives everyone equality, because a lot of people never get a chance and that's just not fair to me. I think everyone deserves that. Pink Peony says, okay. All right. Well, thank you for being so kind, Pink, and allowing Mark and Betty. And like I said, and then Dragon, same with you. If you guys can think of another that one, okay. I will write that down as I'm playing this next one, and then I'll mod it. All right. And see, I think that's fun because we make someone happy each live, and that's our goal. We got to learn how to make people happy. We got not people pleasing, but we do have to set our boundaries, but be kind. So I like this idea. Okay, I'll be writing that down, Betty. Oh, or Mark and Betty here. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and put this up here. Let me go ahead and make it a little bigger. Okay, I'll play this and I'll get the other done. I was muted. I muted myself there. Mark and Betty, you should be blue for tonight. And then after the live is over, of course, the next person will take over, but you're absolutely welcome. So I'm going to read this because this one's just music and I kind of want to read because the details of this are very important. Which tells us that she had to have had been meeting with someone she knew. She wasn't dressed up, telling us it was not likely she was meeting her new boyfriend, so it's someone close, possibly a family member or a close friend. I feel it was a setup in the manner that it was executed. It seemed like someone possibly hired professionals to do this. Could she have been involved with a married man or possibly gotten pregnant by someone whose reputation or family life would be ruined if people found out? This right here is crazy to me. I mean, no offense. And of course, I'm going to read the content. Just, hi, Mark Schumann. Thank you for coming in. But honestly, I don't see that in this case. I think this right here is taking it a bit too far. This is where we start putting our opinions in our videos and not putting out the facts because nothing really tells me that because she wasn't dressed up, she was going to meet a boy. She was supposed to be going to work. I just don't. I think this is a little bit of like tinfoil hat stuff, and I don't know about this. Oh, you're welcome, Mark and Betty, and I want everyone to feel this way. That was kind of my thing with this was I was thinking, back to when I really just there was a point where, I didn't even want a channel. I just really just wanted to be a mod, and I thought I want to see what they do. And finally, of course, I did. But I want everyone to get that experience. Hey, Cash. Yes. Hey, duty, not a man. Hey, Far. You been piss farting all day? I have. I definitely have. So I figured like each case, whoever recommends the case gets to mod. So on this channel, we're all equal. And there's not just one mod that doesn't like another mod and oh, she's mad and he's mad. I listen, I'm not a teacher. I don't have patience for all that. We're all adults. I think everyone should be treated equal. So if you give me a case and I choose that case and I cover it, you can mod that night. And because I feel like everyone should get that opportunity. Why not? Right? Oh, I know, Far. I gotta stop slacking. I'm always pissed farting. All right, so I don't know with this if I agree with this. This is a good channel, but I think it's a little bit more conspiracy than I'm wanting to get into. But we'll go ahead and play it. I just wanted to read that because I don't. How do you guys feel? I mean, as from what you've seen so far, do you guys really see that she would? I mean, she was going to meet a guy. She was really close to her sister. She never missed work. So I don't see her not going to work over a guy. She had her stuff together. She was, mature. Let's find out and I'll just quit this jabbering. Far, you just cracked me up with that. I'm telling you, you should see my grandson's face when he hears me say that. He just looks at me like, Mama. All right, I'll quit jabbering. Here we go. Back to business. Back to seriousness. Okay, you guys I started to say, was this moving or were we just listening to this?
So I looked at Google Maps and checked out all the areas that were kind of vacant or areas where somebody could, meet somebody or take somebody into and kidnap them or even um, do something to them. So here's this park that's kind of nearby. You could probably get there from her house to this part. It's probably like maybe 10 to 15 minutes. So she could have stopped by, had somebody, um, met her, and they could have done something to her here at this place because there these little roads. It goes all the way back. I mean, it was kind of closed off, but you still drive through it. It says authorized personnel, I think it said, and but you can still make it through. And then if you kind of go into one of like these roads lead into other roads that kind of go into the, I guess you could call it little like forest or into the tree area. And as you guys could see there on the drone footage, there's a bunch of stuff back there where you could, just pile things on top of a body, or if you want to like hide evidence or something, you can just throw it back there. So the question is, what could have happened to her? Now, it doesn't really leave too much time for somebody to do something to her. It's about a 10 to 15 minute window that somebody has, because the car was seen about 7:30 closer to Big Sur when it crosses that general store. So if we kind of take that into account, and also the way she's dressed too, it's because at first I used to think, well, I was thinking maybe somebody kind of lured her out, like maybe wanted to do a photo shoot with her car, and she went out there. But the fact that she was still planning to go to work, I it seems like she was planning to go to work. She didn't call in, and I don't know if she was gonna just ditch work, but it seems kind of weird. It almost seems like she's dressed where she's gonna meet somebody she knows, and then come right back home and change for work. Because if this is just 10 about 10 minutes away, and she's just meeting somebody just to maybe get something from them or just talk to them real quick, she can still make it back home and then to work. I think her work was only about like 10 minutes also. So this
Okay, so I stopped it here because if we really look at that, I mean, look at how desolate that really is over here. We've got a lot of area, but why would she go an hour out of her way that direction when she's always at work? Hi, Chris. Thank you for coming in. Like, this was a woman who had a routine. She got up, she got ready, she went to the gym, she went to work. Like, this was everyday routine life. She had her stuff together. But this day, they're saying that there was a text that she was seen leaving at 5:30 AM. I don't know, are any of you in California? Like, do any of you live in California? Because I don't. Is it that bright at 5:30 AM? Because I seem to feel like the timeline's a little off. I feel like it's 6:30 AM. I really do. Because maybe I don't know, I don't live in California, though. I know 5:30 AM, it's, like, just getting daylight. Like, it's daylight, but it's barely. But this is bright. You can see her plainly in her leggings, her sneakers. She looks like she's going to work out. So I don't know. What do you guys think? I'm so curious with it because we gotta put our brains together here because something's not making sense. And I have a feeling the problem here may be the timeline. I could be wrong, of course. I mean, I've been wrong 1,000 times or more. But it just doesn't feel right that 5:30 AM she walks out and it's that daylight. But if there's anybody that lives in California that can correct me, please do. And I'll shut up and go ahead and play this. I'm sorry. I just missed everybody. I see Mark and Betty in here and I just am like, and Piss, Fart, and Far. And we have Chris, Cash. I'm so happy to see you guys. Pink Peony. Pink, you have been a mod for so long and you still get nervous modding. Oh my goodness. I know I used to be really bad with that too. Now I get nervous like before my lives cuz that little countdown is like a bomb timer to me. I'm like, "Oh." That is so cute cuz Pink Peony has been a mod for many years. I'm sure she's probably listened. I'm curious to how long cuz she's been modding for many years. Many years. Yeah, Cash, I'm happy to see y'all in here. I haven't seen you in forever. All right, I'll shut up. Y'all need to just tell me, hey, reel it in, doodle, reel it in.
place, I checked a lot of places on Google Maps, and there's a few places that somebody could do something. Have somebody meet them there and do something to them. But the 10 to 15 minute window makes it seem like it was planned, but also whatever happened had to happen quick. So if somebody set her up and their plan to take her or kill her, it just had to be pretty quick. And then whoever, it had to be more than two, maybe more than one person for sure, maybe two, possibly three. But somebody had to drive her car and leave it off in Big Sur, which makes the law enforcement draw all their search efforts down there. So I don't even know if law enforcement searched this area or the areas that I searched. There's a few after this one. I think I got closer to the airport, so I wasn't able to fly my drone over. But you guys will see it because I kind of walk around. So I do believe the car was left at Big Sur on purpose so that law enforcement would focus down there as opposed to these
That
areas,
is
which was
absolutely
which were
gorgeous
kind of closer
land.
to
Gorgeous land.
her house. Not now, like I said, I'm not sure if law enforcement did go through here, but this should have been some of the first areas that along with the Big Sur, search along the coast. These areas should have been searched also because whatever happened, it couldn't have been too far from the route that takes you from Salinas over to Big Sur because it doesn't leave that much time for her. And then let's just say she did drive all the way down to Big Sur. She still had to meet somebody, but it's really risky because there's always people just kind of visiting that area. So there's always people driving by. I know if you look back on Google Maps and you go back in time to 2022, which is when she disappeared, you guys will see a lot of construction trucks and you'll see a lot like there's still vehicles coming around. So I'm sure there's somebody had to have a dash cam. So I don't know if you're watching this and you were around Big Sur around September 2022. You guys should try to look back at your photos or your dash cam. If you guys do see something, make sure you guys report it to law enforcement. That way they could kind of check it out. Also, I feel like if you're in this park, just take a look around when you're hiking through this park or you're biking. Take a look, under the trees or just somewhere in these, vacant areas. Or if you work here too, I know I saw a few workers. When I went through the gate, there was nobody at the gate, so I'm wondering if that gate ever gets tended to, like somebody there at the little booth as you're coming in. So who knows about that? But it's kind of interesting how these areas are kind of close by, and we kind of know that whatever happened had to happen quick. And we do know that her car ended up in Big Sur, so it's almost like it just seems to me like it's luring, like um, whoever did anything to her is luring law enforcement over to the beach, right? Because why would they leave the car there? And they could have driven it farther out, but then I know there had to be somebody else possibly following. So this spot was interesting. It's kind of close to the racetrack, and it's just like about maybe a mile or two from that park that we just explored. So if you look down, this has a lot of little roads. Also, a lot of these areas have small little dirt roads that don't seem to be they don't seem to be driven on often. So if you look back here, and this is on a Sunday. So I came down here on a Sunday on a holiday. So you could kind of see people golfing back there, but I doubt any of the golfing back there even noticed me back here. They just figured it was just a car passing by. So if somebody were to bring somebody down here, there probably wouldn't
Oh my goodness. I have been just jabbering. Thank you, Pink. No, it wasn't you. It was just me talking to myself, practicing for, when I told you guys. I'm so sorry I do this so much. I told you I'm scatterbrained today. What I was saying was, I wanted Chris, thank you for commenting. I actually had asked you to comment so I could see that you were in blue. And I was telling Mark and I was asking Mark and Betty how they liked being mod for a day. And guys, I do appreciate each and every case that you throw at me. And I want everyone to get that opportunity to be a mod. Now we all know that there's going to be some that's going to give me a case that's not going to be a good mod. But if you give me a case, I want you to feel comfortable, and I do feel like this stops from the trolls coming in because if you pick the case, you're more apt to throw them out in a respectful way. Doodle says, "I went in and out twice thinking it was me. Oh no, I'm so sorry." What it is I take myself off the stage because I feel like it gives me a little bit of an echo, but I might need to leave myself up there if just in case as a reminder, because apparently I'm not remembering. You're welcome, Chris. But that was for the case last night. Now, after tonight, tomorrow, I haven't got any cases given to me for tomorrow yet. Mark and Betty did give me one, but I like to do my research. But then we'll go with the next one, and each person gets a chance to be a mod. And I'm done blabbering. Y'all got to reel me in. I get to talking because I see a lot of people in here that I've missed. So I'll shut up. I'm sorry.
It probably wouldn't be noticed, and especially there's a little road back here. You'll see it because I start walking down it. You'll see me get it off right now. I tried looking behind the rocks
Gosh, that's
and
really, I
under
mean,
like
that's
shrubs
desolate.
just to see if there's anything, any
Oh,
clues or anything suspicious back there.
that would be hard to
It
search
seems
too.
like an area where people kind of dump things back there too. So not sure how often the maintenance people go back there. But look at that, like overgrown shrubbery. They can easily, hide something back there. So it's kind of weird though, because about this area here, you can see the phone kind of acting up, like it was my phone camera, which I always use, and it doesn't do that. But see how it's like has it? I'm not even sure how it's really doing that. Yeah, it was acting up. The sound was off, and then it was cutting little parts off. So I don't know why that was. And it was just in this little area though. Later on, you'll see another little clip I film up a road, and it doesn't do this. So it's kind of weird. Now somebody left all this stuff right there. I'm not sure if that's just people dumping trash or what. But you guys can see if somebody's dumping trash there, that means there's not that many people in this area, so that these people kind of get away with dumping all this crap there. So that's horrible. People just leaving their bags instead of dumping it somewhere in the trash can. But so anyway, you can see how it's a bit dense. I mean, even if you kind of fly over it, you probably wouldn't notice too much, just because of the shrubberies and the shrubs and the bushes and the trees and stuff. So it's kind of hard to see things. You have to get really close. Which again, I'm not sure if the law enforcement searched this area also. And I couldn't fly my drone over this area because I was too close to the airport, so it was restricted by the FAA. So
Okay. So hi, Brady. I am so happy to see you. I, I'm very happy to see you. Hi. So I kind of cut that off because I just wanted you to see that just so you could see where he's having to search and how desolate and how hard that is there and how easily you could walk right past someone and not realize that. Our next one, like I said, we're gonna have Nancy because Nancy asks the hard questions, and I like a tough woman. I really respect a woman that isn't afraid to ask the hard questions, and we all know she's gonna ask the hard questions, and we know it. All right, guys, are you ready for this? I know she can be a bit much, but I love it. I love that she is a bit much. But Brady, you know what? Those pictures of your baby, oh my God, that he is so cute. I was just like, look at him. He's growing like a weed. Oh my goodness. All right, guys, I'm a hush.
A gorgeous young 25 seemingly vanishes into thin air. The family getting no answers. We've got to help find Arelie. I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. Thank you for being with us
You're
here
welcome,
at Crime
Nancy.
Stories and Sirius XM 111. Listen to this.
Arelie Garcia was seen leaving her apartment around 6:30 in the morning, headed to work. Garcia never made it to work. Instead, police found her red Honda Accord in Big Sur near the Little Sur River. Her car was locked and phone and car keys were found inside the vehicle, but no sign of Arelie Garcia. Brian Johnson of the Salinas Police Department told KSBW Action News 8 that they had help from Monterey County Sheriff's Department search and rescue team, as well as helicopters, airplanes, and drones in the sky, and search and rescue team dogs on the ground. But nothing came up after 2 days of searching. Since then, police have checked Arelie Garcia's bank account activity, phone records, contacted area hospitals and police departments, but they have no leads or any evidence of foul play.
No leads. How can that be? In my experience, after helping to search for hundreds and hundreds of missing people, they don't just disappear in thin air. There are leads. They just haven't been found. With me, an all-star panel to make sense of what we know right now. But first to Mike Hadsell, president, founder, Peace River Canine Search and Rescue.
Oh, okay, guys, before she starts, do y'all need coffee? Y'all need nerve medication? I love her. I do too, Brady. I love her because she's so strong willed. I mean, I'm telling you, I wouldn't want to have an argument with her. She'd win. So I know some people love her, some people hate her. So guys, just prepare because she's fixing to get into it. And I think that's what I like about her. I love her passion. All right, here we go. And Mark says, I'm assuming the police talked to registered sex offenders in the area. I can't guarantee that. I would assume that, Mark, because you would think so. But hopefully some of this will come out that they have. I'm not sure. I really hope so. I do.
You can find them online at prsar.org, Peace River Canine Search and Rescue. Mike Hadsell, nobody disappears into thin air. That doesn't happen.
That's right.
There are clues. There is evidence left behind. Apparently, nobody's finding it. Do you agree or disagree with that?
Somebody probably saw something. They just haven't found that person yet, and hopefully they will. And maybe with enough attention, they'll come forward and say what they saw. It's a really unusual case that 2 days of searching around a car that they found, her personal items in the car, and no trace of her whatsoever. Montrose is a good search team, and I'm going back to my old stopping grounds because that's where I started back in Malibu, so I know this area really well. And very surprised they didn't find anything at all.
I'm very surprised too. And Mike Hadsell, I think that there is evidence that has not been found, or as you say, hasn't been, relayed. Someone sees, knows, heard something, but they don't know what they heard, saw, or learned in order to hand it over. We're looking for a beautiful 25-year-old girl, her family beside themselves. But what more do we know about this young girl, Arelie?
Arelie Garcia is the youngest of 6 children. After her parents' marriage broke up, Garcia lived with her mother, Blanca Sanchez, in Salinas, California. After high school, Garcia began training in the Automotive Mechanics Technology program at the Center for Employment Training. She found a job at My Chevrolet in Salinas as a service advisor. Co-workers described Arelie Garcia as the, quote, happy one of the group.
To Dan Corsentino joining me, former police chief, former sheriff, also with U.S. Homeland Security on the senior advisory board, now private eye at dancorsentino.com. Danny Corsentino, did you hear that she was the quote happy one of the group? Now, this is a young woman that has broken into a male dominated industry, service, car service. I will never forget when I worked at Sears when I was in high school. Normally, I was in the girls' junior clothing department or the candy shop.
Oh, Lord.
Once in a great while, they'd throw me into automotive. I would basically want to go hide in the back room and never come back out. I didn't know what anybody was talking about. That asked questions. I would have no answers. This girl plows into it, makes her way at the Chevy, my Chevrolet in Salinas as a service advisor, telling people what they need to get done to their car. So she's a success. She's doing really well. And she's known as, quote, the happy one, Dan Corsentino. Why is it that we see the best, the sweetest, the most wonderful people turn into victims, while all the dope dealers and the child sex predators, they seem to live forever, Corsentino? They never go away.
Boy, you said it, Nancy. It's really difficult. Here's a young woman who had a passion for automobiles.
She loved cars. My nephew's like that. We thought he was going to turn down college and be a car mechanic. He worked at, AutoZone the whole way through high school. He loves nothing more than to work on cars.
And she was part of a Mizo Fresh car club where she customized and showed her own Honda Accord at times. So she had a passion. But to your question, the victimization of those that are kind, gentle, outgoing, and happy, I can't explain that. There's no explanation in regards to this cruel world that we live in. But we see that all too often. One of the things this does suggest, though, in a male-dominated vocation is she had the respect of her fellow mechanics, and she was successful in that environment.
Joining me right now is a very special guest, Arelie Mendoza. This is Arelie's sister, and you can find her online at Arelie Garcia, spelled Arelie. ArelieGarcia.com, GoFundMe.com, help find Arelie Garcia, and at Bring Arelie Home _ We really need your help. Arelie is not a celebrity. She is not a high-profile case. She's not a fashion model that walks the runways of New York at Fashion Week. This is a beautiful, young, loving girl coming from a big family that loved her more than anything. This is a girl who loved cars. She has a red-wrapped Honda that she worked on incessantly. This is a great girl, and she's not getting the attention and the effort that she needs. Arelie, thank you for being with us. I just can't say enough about your sister, but I've researched her, but I want you to tell me about Arelie.
Yes, of course. Thank you for having me. I'm glad that you pointed out that point. Obviously, we're just a simple family. We are not rich. We are not someone important. And I feel like that.
Well, you're important to us. You're important to us. Just know that.
I appreciate it because a lot of people still don't know about her story. They still don't know, and it's just really frustrating because we've been asking for awareness since the beginning, and we're not getting that. And it's just really.
My pause game is terrible. I always make her look bad like that. I never mean to. Sorry, Nancy. So let's talk about this a little bit. So Doodles and Gray says, that scene could be staged. Maybe she was never ever there. She may have never been over there. She's right. Maybe she didn't drive that car there at all. And Pink Peony, being in the area, says she's going to ask her aunt about that service dealership shop. She gets her car serviced around there. Yeah, I think that's a great idea. Absolutely. And Doodles says, I wonder if they got all the co-workers' alibis. I would hope so. I really would, but she never made it to work, though. So maybe, did she have an enemy at work? I don't know. Pink says her two sisters are so bubbly in interviews. Yeah, I think it's been enough time that they know that if they come up here sad and sappy, because some people believe that you have to fake it on stuff like this because it shows weakness. But I can tell that they are hurt, and this would hurt any family. It's horrible. It is. But I'm curious to what you guys think so far. So, you know, we have video that we can see that she's getting in her car. She's leaving. You think she's going to the gym. The time is off. The 5:30 to 6:30. That I'm telling you, that's the main red flag I got was wait a minute. It is bright when she went out and got in her car. It couldn't be 5:30 a.m. But I haven't checked to see if it was daylight savings time either. I don't know. I don't know how that works. I mean, I don't know it. I'll have to go back to that year and check. That could be it. I mean, maybe it really is 6:30. But then she'd be late for work, and she had her phone in her hand. She's intelligent. She would know, I think. I don't think she has a boyfriend that I've seen so far, but we may hear that as we go through here. And I'm telling you, look at Nancy. Sorry, Nancy, about that pause game because all right, but I was just curious what you guys think. You guys are asking very intelligent questions. I appreciate it. I do. This is serious. And thank you for taking it so serious. Okay, let's go ahead and see what else Nancy
Tell me
has.
about her. Tell me about her personality. And, Dan Corsentino, formerly with the U.S. Homeland Security, he certainly knows slouch. He knows what he's talking about. He said something that really caught my attention, and it was kind-hearted people that are loving and happy and kind-hearted. I mean, Ellie, when we see a homeless person, we go buy them food or we give them money. And one day, John David, my son, got out of the car to go give someone
Lord,
money.
here
I'm
we
like,
go
no,
again.
don't. I pulled the car over and I went and gave the guy a 20 because I was afraid the guy, I mean, I didn't know if he was mentally unstable. I didn't know what would happen. And I didn't want anything to happen to John David. My point is, a good heart, my daughter's the same way. They would do anything to help somebody else. And it makes me think of Arelie. And did that somehow put her in harm's way, her own heart of gold? Tell me about her.
Well, Arelie is a really funny person. She loves to help people. She always puts other people before her. She's a very hardworking girl. At one point she had almost 3 jobs. She really loves working. She's very girly. She loves shopping for pink stuff. She's addicted to Starbucks, and obviously her car is everything. She would always be working on it, buying new things, either inside or just making it look cute and shiny. Whenever she's driving around, you could tell that's Arelie because her car was just special.
That reminds me so much of my nephew, Sam. Ever since he was a teen boy, like 13, obsessed with cars, knows all about cars, works on cars. I mean, he went on to major in chemistry and became an I-Tech superstar, but he still has a thing for cars. And when he visits, he pulls up in this shiny red truck and it literally shines. I think you could eat off of it. There's something about people that get the car bug.
Not sure,
They
Taser, not
devote so
sure.
many hours to them, and she actually succeeded in a male-dominated business, and they loved her there. So what more do we know about Arelie? What can shed light on what happened to her?
Okay. So Pink says, I'll go ahead and put this up here. So Pink says, smells like a setup. I mean, if you read up on the crimes that take place on the Central Coast, your head would spin. I'm going to look into that. I'll definitely look into that for sure. It almost feels like someone knew her routine and maybe stopped her in between her making it to the gym. But it does kind of sound like, I agree. It kind of sounds like a woman has her life together. She has a good job. She'll work 2 or 3 jobs to make it. And it only takes one person that's like, oh, look here. Maybe it's a crime of opportunity. Maybe she's alive and maybe she's living her best life in the Bahamas. I mean, but it really, in all honesty, it doesn't look good. Yeah, Doodles and Gray says it seems like it's staged to me. I think so too. It's almost like an ambush of wherever she was, but where was that? Because wouldn't she go, it's like she had to have stopped somewhere with no cameras because if she would have stopped in town, a camera would have got her. But I can't see her driving an hour out of her way it, and leaving everything at home. Like in her car was her phone, her wallet, her purse. That's just not what sophisticated women do. And although she worked on cars, she's sophisticated. I mean, a lot of people think that you can't, but a lot of women like to work on cars. Let's see what Nancy thinks.
Listen,
Even though she's the
I'm
youngest,
listening,
Arelie
Nancy.
Garcia is very close to two of her married sisters, Veronica and Elizette. Still living at home with her mother, Garcia texted sister Veronica almost daily. On September 22nd, Arelie Garcia sent Veronica a message at 6 a.m. A simple message of "Good morning, I love you." At 6:30 a.m., Garcia is seen on surveillance video leaving her apartment headed for work. Arelie Garcia is scheduled to be on the job by 7 a.m. and is known to always be on time. But this day, Arelie Garcia wasn't. She didn't show up at all.
so in just 30 minutes, everything changes. Let me go to another special guest joining us, Ricardo Tovar, journalist, digital content manager at KION 46. That, by the way, was the very first station to pick up on Arelie's case and has followed it extensively. One of the few, and I'm not sure why others are not joining, but we are. Ricardo, thank you for being with us. Let me just ask you a couple of very quick questions. Ricardo, did Arelie have a boyfriend?
As far as I'm concerned, not at the time, no.
Okay, that's important. Ellie, do you know of a boyfriend or an ex?
Well, we did find out after, yes,
Find out what?
that she was in a relationship.
Okay, important. Who, what, where, why, when? Who is the boyfriend? Why was it a secret? And what did you find out about it? And has the ex, the boyfriend, been cleared?
Let's
Not
go,
sure
Nancy.
how long they were dating. They were barely starting, so that's why, you know, on typical Hispanic families, we don't normally like to bring a guy too soon because, you know, the family starts, you know, assuming, okay, this is the guy, you're gonna marry him, whatever. So I'm thinking that's why she did it.
Oh, yeah, I can understand that.
Yeah.
And the minute you bring him home,
That's
everybody
the-
starts planning the wedding.
Exactly. Yeah,
Okay.
and like you don't even know if that's, you know, if they're gonna last or not. So I'm pretty sure that was the main reason. Other than that, his name is Marcelo.
Question regarding Marcelo.
Yeah.
Did police get his alibi for those 30 minutes?
According to what they told us, they did interview him and other people, which names are unknown till this day. But there's nothing.
But they interviewed the boyfriend.
Yeah.
I don't know if he could really even be called a boyfriend because what you're telling me is they've been out a couple of times.
Hold on a minute now. Pink, when you said that, you have a point here. We are hearing an awful lot of bubbly, cheery sisters. I hate to be that way. I'm usually really tough on we don't want to talk about families, but that is a good point. We're getting some bubbly, cheery. Um, Pink says, even working a lot makes you a target. People just sitting around making plans on how to spend your money. Lots of people hooked on substances around those parts. Watch out if you refuse to lend the cash. Yeah. Yep. So this is like a rough, is it like a rough area then? Oh, look at her. I do that every time my pause game on her. I'm sorry, Nancy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I'm not. Like I said, they don't really have anything on him or any other interview that they have done.
It's interesting that you're saying that. Let me go out to you. Wendy Patrick joining me, prosecutor, author of Why Bad Looks So Good and Red Flags. She's the star of Today with Dr. Wendy on KCBQ San Diego, and you can find her at Wendy Patrick, PhD. Wendy, I don't have any cases at all where after a just a few dates, say 2, 3 dates, there's been a homicide. I've had cases where, people date for a few months and they become obsessed, but never on just a couple of dates. Have you ever seen that?
I've never seen that. And what we normally see is you talk about somebody that's that approachable and kind-hearted and loving. She ends up being a target because she's so likable, not necessarily to date for somebody who's a prospective paramour, but for a prospective stalker. And that's what struck me about this case. She's just so delightful. She's working in a man's world. She's successful. She's generous. She's like John David, should probably volunteer to show up at work early to help somebody, which probably her sisters might have talked her out of if they knew about. So it's not unusual to start in with the inner circle, like the boyfriend she's just starting to date, but it would be unusual for him to have been the primary suspect once you figure out about the relationship.
I have reason to believe, Ricardo Tovar, that police have already interviewed the boyfriend, ruled him out. What do you know, Ricardo?
Oh, absolutely. During the course of this investigation, we heard Brian Johnson, commander of the police department, earlier in the podcast. They interviewed over 62 people extensively, and they've gone back and forth with them over the course of the year, and they've ruled all 62 out as possible suspects, as possible leads for this case.
Guys, we are on the search for Arelie Garcia, age 25. She heads out 6:30 a.m. It's never late to work. At 7 o'clock, she hasn't shown up. Now, take a listen to this.
Arelie Garcia's sister, Elizette Mendoza, tells NBC, I got a call from the manager saying that she never arrived, asking if I knew anything because there was no sign of her. And that's not something she would do. Her sisters started texting and calling their sister's phone to no response. Garcia's sister, Veronica, logged in to find my iPhone and was surprised to see Arelie Garcia's phone last pinged to a location in Big Sur, about an hour away from Salinas.
Wow. Okay, Todd Shipley joining us. Todd G. Shipley, certified fraud examiner, forensic computer examiner, cybercrime expert, former detective sergeant, and author of Investigating Internet Crimes, an Introduction to Solving Crimes in Cyberspace. You can find him online at darkintel.info. Todd Shipley, thanks for being with us. Okay, explain how the Find My iPhone has really revolutionized finding missing people. Remember, that was used in the Sherry Papini case. Her phone, of course, told me a lot because the theory out there was that she had been brutally kidnapped, snatched off the street, but the phone was found neatly placed, I believe, on top of a mailbox or something, and it had the phone cord wrapped around it neatly. No, that's not how your phone gets thrown down when you're fighting for your life. That said, it was used then, and it brought a lot of attention to the Find My iPhone app. Explain.
Well, I think that, it's pretty obvious that the use of the technology is probably going to further this if we know more about what law enforcement's done. Because having her iPhone that was apparently left in the car is a valuable piece of evidence, not only from the fact that they were able to find where her car was, but the iPhone itself tracks so much information about where we've been and what we've done. And I haven't seen the reports, and I don't know if the family's gotten the exact, forensic reports from the law enforcement agencies involved, but there's a lot of data in there that would let people know what she had been doing. Just the text messages in the Find My iPhone, but her social media, other texting apps, other things that are out there, and a lot of data, the cloud data. There's just tons and tons of data that could potentially give rise to new information that we don't have right now, and I haven't heard that yet.
Guys, the very latest in the search for Arelie Garcia, age 25, when she goes missing, called, quote, the happy one at work, where she worked at My Chevrolet there in Salinas as a server, loved, respected. How does this family girl seemingly just vanish without a trace? It's not exactly without a trace. Take a listen to Dave Mack.
The search for Arelie Garcia began with a phone call from Garcia's employer. The family tried calling and texting with no answer. Sister Veronica logged in to Find My iPhone. Arelie Garcia's phone last pinged to a location in Big Sur. That's about an hour away from Salinas. Once her family found the car, a red Honda, police searches began.
Oh, yes, they did. Here's more.
Elizette Mendoza and her husband drove to Big Sur, finding Garcia's car parked on the side of the road, locked. Garcia was nowhere to be found. With no cell phone service, Elizette Mendoza said she and her husband had to drive about 10 minutes away to let family know they found her car. By the time they returned to the car, local police were on the scene and unlocked the car. Inside the locked car, they found Arelie Garcia's phone, keys, and other personal belongings.
That's telling me a lot. To Ricardo Tovar, who's been on the story from the very beginning, joining us from KION 46, explain to me, help me visualize where Arelie's vehicle, her red wrapped Honda, was found.
Yeah, of course. So Highway 1 is a huge stretch of road stretching all the way from the Bay Area all the way down into San Bernardino County. In fact, it's 2 lanes, not, one lane going north, 1 lane going south. And in the area, it's right almost close to the famous Big Bridge we have in the Big Sur area. Not a whole lot. We got the ocean to one side, we got giant cliff to the other side, some foliage, some brush, and obviously there are little areas where cars can go off to the side and park. That's used for scenic photographs, for looking at the view and that sort of thing. So not a whole heck of a lot out there. Some off trails, but that's about it. And not a whole heck of a lot in that area.
Why would she be there? Joining me is Ellie Mendoza. This is Arelie's older sister. Why would she have been there?
I have no idea. There's no reason for her to be there, especially that morning that she was supposed to go to work around 7:30. There's no way she was going to have enough time to get ready if she did went for a walk or whatever. It's just very strange.
Just thinking this whole thing through. Her car is found about an hour away in Big Sur. She was on her way to work. Had she ever hiked there or visited there, camped there that you know of, Ellie?
According to one of her friends, they did went on a hiking.
They had gone there hiking or just hiking, period?
Just hiking, her and one of her friends.
Okay, so not necessarily there. And why would she have gone at 6:30 in the morning?
She doesn't even know.
I'm just trying to think if she had jump in.
Nancy, this is Wendy. The very first thing I thought when I heard about that location is it's a good place to kidnap somebody and make a quick getaway without being seen. And I would just wonder whether or not somebody alleged to have car trouble because she's very forthcoming and sweet and helpful and knowledgeable about cars and asked for her help, only knowing that would be a place to be able to abduct her and not have witnesses. If it's near a thoroughfare, that's a quick getaway. And if it's in a remote area, there's less opportunity to be seen. And if early in the morning, not a lot of people are up. That was the first thing I thought when I heard of why she would have been there to begin with.
I'm guessing, just an educated guess, and Ricardo Tovar, you know the topography very well, that she was abducted between 6:30 and 7 o'clock in the morning from the time she left her mom's apartment where she lived, which also greatly reduces our list of suspects. Nobody stayed over there with her the night before. Nobody was loitering around. She was actually caught on camera getting into her red wrapped Honda and leaving. Isn't that true, Ricardo Tovar?
Yes, it is. Family very early on in the investigation, maybe a couple months in, we actually see video. The only piece of video we have of her that morning, she's just getting down the steps from her apartment top. She gets into that red Honda, drives off, and never to be seen again. And I always thought that was strange that, a whole city full of cameras and whatnot. That's not a short drive. It's an hour. And no one else saw anything.
Okay, that leads me to a lot of questions, Ricardo Tovar. And you and Ellie Mendoza, her sister, should know, are there any toll booths between her home and where her car was found in Big Sur, an hour away? There's got to be traffic cams. I mean, we're talking about Salinas. There's got to be traffic cams that would have caught her vehicle. What about that? Did either of you know about that?
There are no tolls. When you get on, 68, 64, you go all the way. You can get one from there and you just go. It's a straight shot down there. No toll booths. But security cameras, absolutely. We've had several cases I've been dealing with. I do a bit of court reporting here. They have security cameras, from businesses, from everything. And I'm sure they asked for it and not one of them caught. There is a path there and it's a very clear path.
Well, there had to be red light cam. There has to be red light cam of her car between her mom's apartment and Big Sur. Is that you, Ellie? Jump in.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. There's lots of cameras, and it's just incredible how there's no other lead of her driving all the way to Big Sur. Obviously, once you get to Big Sur, there's no signal, but still, all the cameras before that, and we don't have anything at all. That surveillance video that shows when she's leaving home was given to us 3 months after. 3 months.
Oh, now Nancy's now's not the time for this. Look, I have her paused. Let me go forward.
License plate
There we
readers
go.
that were posted along the roadway anywhere, in addition to the traffic cam.
Do you know, Ellie?
Not that I know.
What about Ricardo?
Yes, I do. The city of Salinas has a partnership with Flock. They're a type of license plate readers in the city. So yes, there are license plate readers in the Salinas.
Okay, I'm just not understanding what, if anything, has been done on the case. Maybe they've done it and we don't know, but it's impossible for her car to have gone from mom's apartment all the way to Big Sur and not be caught by one license grabber or one red light cam or one business cam. I mean, that route, let me ask you, Ricardo, Ellie, help me out. On the route from the apartment she shared with her mom to where her car was found in Big Sur, are there any businesses? Do you pass by strip centers or a mall? Because they've all got security cam.
Right. Yeah, there's, well, I'm pretty sure, yeah, because there's business. There's a liquor store kind of corner if she went to Arelie Street, but basically there's camera on every light stop, so there has to be a trace. I just don't understand why there's nothing on it.
Ricardo Tovar joining us, KION46. What was the make of Arelie's Honda?
It was somewhere from 2012-ish, Honda Accord.
Honda Accord. And to you, Todd Shipley, when did Honda start nav systems in the Accord?
Well, they've had them for a long time. I mean, probably, a couple of decades of variations. You really started it. How much that version actually recorded?
Okay. So we have Pink Peony says Bixby Bridge altitude lends itself to very high winds. I remember going there with my boyfriend and my brother. I didn't get out of the vehicle. It was so windy that it creeped me out. Wow, well that's freaky. And Doodles says it would be more likely she knew who took her, if not Serial. I don't know if it was maybe Serial, just because in that area there is the other missing girl, but they could prove that that had nothing to do with her. So I don't know about that. And then she says, I wonder if there's any other women missing fitting this. Well, there is one other female that had passed away in that area on the search for her. But they have, I guess, I mean, that's what they had stated, that they have found absolutely zero connection with the two girls. So I don't know if maybe this is just a dangerous area. I really don't know. But they did find another girl, yes. But they couldn't connect them to. The only thing they could go by was that they both had dark hair. They were both women of color. And that really doesn't fit Serial as much, but we don't know. How many more have they not found yet, if that's the case? So I'm not saying that that's wrong. That very well could be. But so far, they haven't found more. But good eye and good thinking, because, I mean, really, they did find the other one. So it is always a possibility. There's my pause game again. Oh, poor Nancy.
It's going to be something we've got to research. But the point is, there's another location that there's potential data that might be an indication of what happened, and we haven't seen it.
Now, I was just told that the nav system, as we know it today in the Honda Accord, was commenced in 2011 to 2012. I'm also getting information that nav system, a rudimentary, elementary nav system, has been in place for 2 decades. Now, I think the 2011 is a more reliable nav system date as far as forensically analyzing where the car has been. And I want to direct everyone's attention, and you know this well, Dan Corsentino. For instance, in the Alex Murdaugh trial, and I use that because it's such an example, his double murders of so many forensic intricacies. For instance, in that case, we looked at his, I believe he was driving a Suburban, a big honking Suburban, and we learned when he would turn the car on at the time of admission, when he put it in drive, reverse, neutral, park, what time, the location, when he would let his electric windows up and down, when he would slow down, how fast he was driving, where he went. The nav system tells a lot. What about it, Corsentino?
Absolutely. I would equate that to a black box of an airplane. It gives you all the intelligence that you need from speed, as you stated, and every turn that is made in relationship to acceleration, stopping, everything. So clearly, the 56 to 60 minutes south to Big Sur would be recorded, and they would be able to journal every aspect of this travel that she was involved in. What also was interesting, which Allie had stated at one point, was how she parked the vehicle. And I don't want to get ahead of myself, but it was very, very interesting as a clue that when she normally backed in and lowers her airbag suspension, when Allie came upon the car, the vehicle was pulled forward and the hydraulics were not lowered in that vehicle. And that also suggests that there was the potential for suspicious activity.
Okay, you got to slow down. They did not teach me that in law school. Who's jumping in?
This is Wendy Patrick. You know what that suggests to me is that she's not the one that parked the car. You know, when you look at the way somebody has habit and custom, the way they park, the way they drive, the way they position their personal belongings within the car when they leave it, you got to wonder who was it that parked that. You know, the one thing I have found from Detective Cruz, just kind of looking online, is apparently a vehicle matching hers passed what it says is the Carmel Highlands General Store, which is 40 minutes from her apartment. So it seems like she's not taking, some roundabout road where nobody's going to see her. But in fact, as we're talking about, going right through main thoroughfares where there should have been other camera footage besides the Carmel Highlands General Store. But
was she driving it, Wendy?
Now hold on. This does not look like. Does it to you guys? This doesn't even look like her to me. Am I wrong? Does this look like Arelie to you? I mean, I'm sure maybe she had a different hair color, but I'm not sure. I mean, I guess, but I thought they were both. Pink, do I have this wrong? Like, this doesn't look like her. Yeah, but didn't they say that both women were persons of color? because it said that her and the other woman, the only thing they had in connection was that they had long hair and they were person of color. So, are they saying that this is her, or am I? Maybe she's speaking and I interrupted. Hopefully, this is not what they're showing as her.
At that time,
That was what I was just going to say. Who's behind the wheel?
can't tell who's behind the wheel. What are we learning about the investigation? We know
So, I mean, what do you guys think? That's not Arlie, that's Wendy Patrick. Okay, so is that just someone else that like is involved with Nancy here, or is like where did she come from? Did I miss something major here? Because they keep showing this blonde, and I'm like, wait a minute, what is? Because the two women, both their connections were their hair, and they were both persons of color. Maybe she'll explain. Maybe this is I don't know. Maybe this just caught me off guard. Sorry guys, but that's not Arlie. I don't know. We'll see.
that her purse, her keys, her private items, her personal items were still in the car. Her phone was still in the car. So I guarantee you, I mean, Ellie, she would never go anywhere without her phone, right?
Definitely, especially nowadays, everything's in your phone, so there's no way she would leave it like behind.
Okay, so
Definitely.
maybe the
To
blonde
Ellie
is
Mendoza,
Ellie.
this is Arelie's older sister. Tell me what your mother has gone through since Arelie went missing.
She's been doing horrible. Obviously, she already has, diabetes. She's obviously an old person now. She's not doing well. She's been really depressed. Obviously, you could tell by looking at her, and her
Right.
face just
Ink, I don't know who
devastating.
I
And
don't know who that blonde is.
we're not losing hope that she's gonna return home.
Guys, if you know or think you know anything about Arelie Garcia's disappearance, please contact. This is the detective, Salinas Detective Edwin Cruz, Cruz, at 831-758-7393. Repeat, Edwin Cruz, 831-758-7393. And we have his email, because I'd really like to know if they've gotten all of that surveillance video,
Me
if
too,
they've gotten
Nancy.
the tag grabbers. Who have they interviewed? What's the status of the case? Why is the mother and the family having to go in front of the Salinas PD and protest for answers? I'd like to hear that answer. Here's the email, Edwin C, as in California, Edwin C at ci.salinas.ca.us. Edwin C at ci.salinas.ca.us.
Wow.
There is a $10,000 reward. A $10,000 reward. Again, tip line 831-758-7393. We continue our search for Arelie. Goodbye, friend. Guys, thank you for watching Crime Online with Nancy Grace here on YouTube. To get the very latest.
Wow. Like, know what to think about this. Like, ugh. Maybe, yeah. So maybe they just did they have her name up there and I just missed it, Chris? Because Wendy Patrick is a psychologist. Okay. Okay, so next, I don't know how you guys feel about this, but there is a podcast that covers this whole case. It is almost an hour long. We don't have to play it. It pretty much goes over this, but it does give a few more details. I'm going to leave it up to you guys on whether you want me to play this or not. I don't have to. It's kind of the same thing with a few more details, but it's a podcast with two people speaking about it to one another. Do you guys want me to play that, or do you think that, I've expressed it enough? It's completely up to you guys. Either way, I'm fine either way. But I'll leave it up to you guys to you guys tell me. Because you're the ones that have to listen to this. It's a really good podcast. It's just it kind of goes over the same thing, just adds a few more details. But it is kind of like the same thing. So, guys, if you want me to play it, please put a 1 in chat. If you think that it's pretty much been out, then go ahead and put a 2 in chat. And then we can go ahead and kind of just go over what we just went over. Hey, Mustang. You would sit and listen far? Okay. All right. Then I'll go ahead and play. Anybody else? I don't want to I don't know I don't want to go over anybody that's going live tonight. I think, yeah, Far's all for playing it. Chris is for playing it. Okay. Anybody else that doesn't want me to play it? Because we have several that do. So if you don't want to hear it, you want to leave, I completely understand. But this podcast is super good and it gives details that even Nancy didn't put out. Okay. All right. So let's go ahead and I'll just share this. I'll add me out of here and we'll share this and play this. Now, if I'm not supposed to play this, which I think I can, but if I can't, and if I go off screen, stick around, and so I can say goodbye to you guys. Because if I do, they'll just give me a warning. I won't get a strike. I tried to reach out. I couldn't get anywhere. But I think with it being a podcast and it's an older one, I don't think they're going to have much problem. If I do, like I said, stick around. Let me at least say goodbye. But I think I can play it. And we'll go ahead and go from here and let me make this bigger. Okay. All right, guys. So we'll go ahead and start this. Put it in gear, Doodle. Put the pedal to the metal. I'm on it. Here we go, Pink. You ready for this? Here we go.
November 22nd, 2022, a 25-year-old woman left her apartment building in Salinas, California. She looked like anyone else going to work that morning. But she wasn't wearing the right clothes, and she wasn't leaving at the right time. Arelie Garcia never made it to her job that morning. Later that same day, her car was found more than an hour away, with her phone, keys, and wallet left behind. When police arrived, they found no indication of anything. Not foul play, not self-harm, and not a voluntary disappearance. Just a car that was miles away from where it should have been, and a young woman who broke her daily routine. Now, over 3 years later, her family is still trying to piece together what happened that September morning. When a person goes missing, there's a special kind of pain in the not knowing. I want to tell the stories of those who never came home. Today, I want to tell you the story of Arelie Garcia. I'm Kona Gallagher.
And I'm Ethan Flick.
And this is And Then They Were Gone. What actually happened that morning. Before we get started, though, we've had some new people join us over on Patreon, so we'd like to take a moment to give some shout outs. Thank you to Jacqueline C., Lena C., K-Mom, but she was especially close with her older sisters, Ellie and Veronica. Arelie grew up in Salinas, which is in Monterey County, California. Salinas is inland, and it's an agricultural working class town. So apparently a lot of farm workers live in Salinas, and, but it's a very kind of close-knit place. Like, it's not super large. A lot of people know other people. Arelie's parents eventually divorced, but she seems to have remained close with both of them. In 2022, she was 25 and sharing a 2-bedroom apartment with her mother. After high school, Arelie started training to work in the automotive world, and she genuinely loved cars. She was known for having a strong work ethic and was working as a service advisor at a Chevy dealership near her apartment. Now, this is obviously a male-dominated field, but Arelie thrived in it. Cars became her life. She had a red-wrapped Honda Accord that family members described as her baby. She not only wrapped the thing, but she also installed a custom chassis that allowed her to raise and lower the car.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so I know I didn't really do a great job of explaining what she did because I know nothing about cars, but I mention it because that detail is actually significant later on. So the point is, she absolutely loved cars, had this job, did enjoy it, but she was maybe exploring other opportunities. She was talking about going to school to study to be an ultrasound technician, which is like a complete 180.
Yeah. Wow, that's completely different.
Yeah. So I don't know, if she had started that or that was just something she had kind of been talking about. But I mean, her love of cars was definitely there regardless. Arelie has been described as the happy one in her family.
Okay, so that kind of has me alarmed because you work on vehicles, you love vehicles, you work on your own, you've wrapped your car, you've built your car, and then all of a sudden you decide you want a change of career. Now that kind of makes me wonder at her age why she would choose something so far away from mechanics. And I don't know if that has anything to do with this, but it does make you wonder if maybe she was meeting someone else about this job that she wanted. I mean, we don't know. We just don't know.
She was the one who was always laughing, always smiling, and was just a very positive person. And in 2022, she was living a pretty typical life for someone who was in her mid-20s and single. She and her sisters loved shopping together, and Arelie was devoted to her daily Starbucks habits. She also loved working out and was known as a gym rat. Most importantly, she was always in contact with her family and would text them throughout the day just to say hi, see what they were up to, things like that. Arelie was also reliable and stuck to her routines. She's someone who everyone, her friends, family, coworkers, could always count on. So that's why when Arelie disappeared on Thursday, September 22nd, 2022, it took basically no time at all for everyone in her life to know that something was very wrong. That morning, Arelie was scheduled to work at 7:30. So she usually got to work between 7 and 7:30, kind of in there, right? On the days that she went to the gym before work, she would leave her apartment between 5 and 5:30. That way she'd have enough time to do her workout, shower, get ready, and get to work. Now, she only worked about 10 minutes from her apartment, so she didn't have much of a commute to be concerned with. And that morning, surveillance video outside of her apartment caught her leaving, wearing black leggings, a black hoodie, and tennis shoes with her hair pulled into a bun.
What time was that?
That's the thing. It wasn't at the time it should have been because she's dressed to go to the gym.
Right.
But she left her house at 6:30, which is like an hour later than she should have been if she were going to the gym, but too early to go to work. And she also wasn't dressed for work.
Right.
So the footage shows her exit.
See, that's what bothers me the most is that they say 5:30, but she's seen leaving. It's daylight, like not 5:30 where you're just waking up. We're talking it's daylight. So she didn't have time to go to the gym yet. She had on gym clothing. It doesn't say anything about her calling out to work because their coworkers were concerned. It makes you wonder, did the next job call her on the way and maybe that's where she was headed? I don't know. There's so much to this. Like, I don't know. Pink says, I wonder if she faced hostility or harassment in her field. Maybe. Maybe there was something like that. I mean, for her to change careers and one that she really loved, something had to have happened in that shop. I would be questioning the people she worked with, like everyone in that shop, because although she loved working on cars and she was looking for someone else, it's like, or something else to do, that's odd. I think that doesn't, I mean, that's just my opinion.
The building, getting into her red Honda, and driving off. It looks completely normal, other than the fact that the time doesn't add up to her usual routine.
What was the date on this again?
September 22nd.
Is that daylight savings?
So, no, it's interesting that you bring that up because daylight savings does come into this in the fact that, and we've talked about this with surveillance footage before, right? Where I never really trust surveillance footage time.
Yeah.
Because a lot of times the timestamps can be wrong. And that does appear to have happened in this case because it is reported by Arelie's family and police that it was 6:30 or 6:34, whatever it was when she left. But if you look at the actual footage, the timestamp says 5:30.
Oh, okay.
So
the timestamp was wrong on the surveillance.
Yeah,
footage.
but it's so interesting because if the timestamp is right, that would answer a lot of questions. Then you could pretty much say, oh, she was on the way to the gym because that's usually the time she would go to the gym.
Yeah.
So that is like an interesting piece that I don't understand. And it's weird because, like I said, I mean, you see news footage of the video and it clearly says 5:34 or like whatever it says. And even some early news reports say 5:30 because they're getting it right from the video. But everything the police and her family said has said 6:30, but they've never actually, that I've seen, addressed that discrepancy directly. Like, I don't have anything that says, like, oh, yeah, the police said that the timestamp was off by an hour. Like, nobody has actually acknowledged it. It's, I don't know, that whole thing is a little weird.
Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, Doodles, what I was saying was like maybe in the car going to the gym, had she gotten a call from the next job saying, hey, could you just stop by here real quick? Even though she's in gym clothes, maybe she's like, well, I can't. I got to go home and change. And they're like, we'll just interview you. I don't know. I'm not sure. Because, I mean, she was in leggings. It wasn't like she was in shorts and stuff. She was just in leggings and her workout gear, not real like tight stuff. She just had on leggings, t-shirt, and this jacket with sneakers. So maybe it was maybe it was a setup. Maybe it was somebody saying, hey, I need help. I'm stranded out here. And her working on cars, she's like, okay, let me help you. So we just don't know. We don't know. And that's the saddest part. And imagine her parents. They don't know. That's the saddest part about this is that her parents, they don't know.
But it wasn't like completely dark either. Like the sun was starting to come up.
Right. And at 5:30 in the morning, you would think it would still be dark.
I would think you see 5:30 in the morning a lot more than I do. I'm not super familiar with that time.
Not on the West Coast, but yeah.
But yeah, I mean, that's usually when you leave for work. And I think it's pretty much always dark when you're leaving for work.
It is.
Like regardless of the time of year.
Yeah.
The other thing that kind of grounds the timeline is that just before 7 a.m., Arelie sent a text to her sister Veronica. The text didn't mention anything about her plans that morning or, what she was up to or anything. It simply said, quote, "Good morning. I miss you and my baby. Love you," end quote. Now, the baby she's referring to is Veronica's son, Davion, who was Arlie's godson. Victoria has said that Arelie looked at Davion like he was her own baby and was like absolutely devoted to him. So it was totally normal for her to just text and say a good morning like that, ask about the baby, whatever. The text also had like specific punctuation and things that, obviously I'm not super familiar with the way that she texted, but I think it's fairly distinct in that I think her family would have like noticed if it
was somebody else. Yeah.
Yeah. So it doesn't sound like anybody thinks that somebody else could have sent that text. Like everybody believes that Arelie sent that text that morning just before 7 a.m.
So that it solidifies the timeline in a couple of different ways. So it's not only just that she sent that text before 7 a.m. and now you have a timestamp, but like if it was something where she wasn't using her cell phone as an alarm clock and had, whatever, a digital alarm clock or something separate that wasn't set to update with daylight savings time, like she would have noticed that she was an hour late for her normal schedule because she had.
All right. So I'm curious to what you guys think from here. So her normal routine, she has her phone in her hand. She's very intelligent. She knows if it was daylight savings time, her phone would have automatically went up or forward or back either way. She would have noticed immediately had she left the house. Wait a minute, it's too lit up out here. She would have known. She's that intelligent. But Pink Peony says if she were meeting a love interest, she would have gotten dolled up. I agree. And I agree with Doodles. I mean, as organized as she is and as responsible, she definitely would have set that interview up. So how on earth, like, what do you guys think happened from the minute she left there to how she got there? Let's see what Brady says. Brady says, my daughter was a certified welder right after she graduated. She loved her job, but switched to selling insurance. Really? She was uncomfortable working with all men. She said they would flirt too much. And this girl's very beautiful too. So that could be a thing. I mean, maybe she's just like, nope, this is not for me. I'm not dealing with it. So yeah, Freddie, thank you. That's another way to look at it. I mean, maybe she's just like, I love doing this, but I'm going to do this on the side. I'm going to get out of here with these men. Maybe. And we don't know what she's been through in her life. Maybe she just felt uncomfortable and had to get away. But it still doesn't explain why she ended up an hour away, why her car was there. It's like, ugh. Yeah, it does. And maybe they paid more and less work. That definitely is a plus, Doodles. I agree. It's so crazy how she leaves her home on a normal day, sophisticated woman, going to the gym, going to work, and then one day her car is found an hour away and she's nowhere to be found and leaves everything behind. The fact that she left everything in that car and even left her car, her baby, that's a huge red flag to me.
Her cell phone and she was looking at it.
Yeah. She had her cell phone. She was looking at it, sent, like I said, just a very normal text, not a, oh my God, like my morning's crazy already. I overslept, like blah, 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 nothing. So yeah, it is interesting. And it also, I mean, we don't know where she was heading, right? But that text was sent, I want to say around 15 minutes or so after she was seen exiting her apartment building. So it's not, so that tells me that something didn't happen. Like,
yeah. And do we have any evidence of her like scanning into the gym where she normally goes?
No. Yeah, she wasn't seen at the gym. Like that was the last sighting of her, was on the CCTV footage at her apartment building. And we do have a couple other things that indicate where she may have been, but none are as direct as her scanning into the gym, So Veronica didn't answer that text right away because she was still asleep. She eventually responded at 8:53 a.m. saying, quote, "Hi, Lovey, miss you too, and so does Guppy, love you," end quote. But Veronica received no response. About an hour later, Ellie, one of the other sisters, called Veronica. One of Arelie's coworkers had gotten in touch with her to see where Arelie was because she never showed up for work that morning. Ellie hadn't heard from Arelie at all, so, she called Veronica. Like, hey, Arelie didn't show up for work. Have you heard from her? And Veronica's like, no, I haven't heard from her. She sent me a text. No idea, though. Veronica and Ellie were both interviewed for Dateline's Missing in America podcast, and Veronica told Josh Mankiewicz, quote, I'm like, I literally just texted her like an hour ago. And that's when I noticed that the message didn't go through, like it never delivered. And so I started texting her like crazy, end quote. And she did. Veronica provided Dateline with a screenshot of her text to Arelie that morning, and they start out concerned and get progressively more frantic. The last ones in the early afternoon say, quote, "Lovey, where are you? Are you in danger? Are you safe? Are you alone?" End quote. And the answer to that last question is probably not. It's spring, which is the perfect time to do a little closet reset, and that is why we're using
minutes away from a quality dinner, whether it's Taco Tuesday or a weekend feast. That's actually why I want to mention Trust and Will. Trust and Will makes.
I think it was on for at least a little while, so we'll get to that here. So after no one in the family could get in touch with her, Veronica was able to check the location of Arelie's phone through Find My iPhone. The way that works too is if your phone is turned off, it'll say something like last seen or last location or something along those lines. I forget what the exact wording is, but if your phone dies or, is off, it'll just give you the location where it last was able to find it. So I don't know if that was the case, but they did get a location, and the location that they got wasn't Arelie's house. It wasn't the gym. It wasn't her work. It wasn't anywhere in Salinas. It was in Big Sur, which is more than an hour away and nowhere near where Arelie should have been that day. So once they got that location, though, family members immediately got in the car and went to where the location said she was. And they found Arelie's red Honda parked in a turnout off of Highway 1 near Little Sur River Bridge. So the car was there. Arelie was not. But even worse, all of her belongings, including her wallet, keys, and phone, were locked inside the car. Here's something that's just insane, and talk about a complete weird coincidence. A few months later, and I'm not sure how this came to light, if police figured this out, if somebody sent in a tip, whatever, but a few months after Arelie's car was found off of Highway 1 in Big Sur, we find out that a Google Street View car happened to drive by that exact spot on that day.
Really?
And took a photo of Arelie's car sitting there before her family found it.
That's crazy.
So that picture was taken at right around noon that day. So we know her car arrived there. I mean, earliest, like let's say she left the apartment and drove straight there, right? Earliest she could have gotten there was around 7:30.
Mm-hmm.
So it had been gotten there sometime between 7:30 and noon. And her sisters were still like texting her at noon. So it wasn't, I don't know the exact time that they got out there, but it was definitely after
Later,
that.
yeah.
It was later in the afternoon. So that photo, which you can still find on Google Maps if you go back, because there have been updated photos since then, but you can go back on Google Maps and like find the older Street View pictures. That one from September 22nd, 2022 is still there. And you can see Arelie's car with two other cars parked behind it.
That right there could be the key. So they find her car and two other cars parked behind it. Now, at this point that they see her car, how do we know that the vehicles around her car, her baby, that she loved so much, that she wrapped, worked on, put the ground effect kits on, the slam kit, whatever this is, she did all that herself. So why is everything that she owns inside that car, and why would she even walk away from that car if foul play is not suspected here? Because I definitely think she'd never left her stuff like that. Doodles says, well, it seems like everyone knows you can track location through a phone, but the phone was sitting neatly on top of the car. Yeah. And when they first tried to message her, the first message wouldn't even go through. So it makes you wonder if they didn't try to block the family or airplane mode it and then somehow got it off airplane mode, because then the text started going through. So that's odd too.
Now that, probably seemed great at first. They're like, okay, clues, somebody was with her, like, or somebody saw something. But police did find the owners of the two cars that were parked behind her. They were random tourists, and they had just pulled off to take pictures.
I'll put there
So
with
they
that
said
idea.
they didn't see Arelie. They didn't see anyone coming in or out of the car. They didn't see anyone around the car, nothing. So if those two cars were parked behind her at noon when the Google Street Cam car came, they probably hadn't been there for too long.
I was just going to ask if they could narrow the time down.
Yeah, so they haven't like publicly narrowed it down that much, but yeah, I mean the people I don't think had been there long because, like I said, they were described as people just taking pictures. They weren't described as hikers or anything like that.
Yeah, it's not like they showed up at 9 in the morning and then went on an hour or two long hike and then came back.
Exactly. I mean, they were probably there for like 20 minutes or
Yeah,
something.
so an insignificant amount of time to narrow the
Yeah.
time
So,
down.
but it narrows it down a little bit more. Now, when I was talking about the car being lowered earlier, how she customized it, I had said that it becomes important later. So, all right, Arelie could lower her car. And when she parked, she liked to lower it all the way down, which is called slamming.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I had never heard that before either. But that's not how the car was parked that day. And that was something that her family immediately clocked when they got there. They're like, the car's up. Like, she doesn't park her car like that. The other
That's a good point, Pink, but she's 5'5". Um, it is she picked someone up and something went down. Okay, so say that happened, but then that still doesn't leave that car sitting there. And there's nothing around there showing foul play, like nothing was out of place. So yeah, maybe she was meeting someone and something went down. Maybe someone called her and said, "Hey, I'm broke down." But I don't really know if she picked someone up because if she had picked someone up, where did both of them go? Someone else would have had to have a way to get her out of there. So I don't know, but that's the simplest answer is that maybe she picked someone else up and but then again her seat was slid back, which shows someone else I think someone else was driving that car. Somehow in between her leaving her apartment to where that car was found, she met up with someone, and I think that someone drove that car there, and I don't know where it went from there, which means there almost had to be 2 people, maybe someone following them. I'm not sure, but somehow they got away because we don't see the other one either. So that's really scary. How far was the driver's seat? They said that there was no way because she's 5'5", that it was all the way back. There was no way she could reach the pedals. No blood, no signs of struggle in her car. Nope, nothing like that. Just everything was perfect in the car. The car was perfect. Car was waiting at Bixby Bridge. You think the car was waiting on her? Like they do whatever they're doing and somebody else is waiting, like a lookout and yeah, runaway or the drive away guy. Very possible. Very, but it makes you wonder why her? It almost feels personal. Like I don't know. I don't know why. That's just my opinion. It almost feels personal.
concerning thing that they noticed when they were eventually able to get in the car is that the driver's seat was pushed farther back than where the 5'5" Arelie usually had it, which made her family believe that she wasn't the one who drove her car there that day. But like I said, we see her getting into the driver's side of her car at her apartment. So we know she's the one who drove her car away.
Right. But we know that she didn't make it to the gym.
She didn't make it to the gym. She didn't make it to work. And
so wherever she went initially, something happened, and it seems as though somebody else got in the driver's seat.
It seems that way. Investigators did search the area around her car extensively, especially early on. So I think by the time police got there and they did start to search, it was starting to get dark. So they ended up sending up drones the first night, and the drones had infrared cameras. We're talking like pretty high tech.
Yeah.
And the police are confident that if she was like lying in a ditch somewhere, near her car or whatever, they would have seen her. So they sent up the drones first night, didn't find anything. Next day, when it was daylight, they did like a proper search, and they searched basically a 4-mile radius around her car. Monterey County Sheriff's Search and Rescue used helicopters, airplanes, drones, and search dogs on a 2-day search around Big Sur and turned up absolutely nothing. And one of the articles I read said that they used both search and rescue dogs and cadaver dogs in their searches, and no dogs found any trace of her. There was also no sign of her at local hospitals, police departments, jails, all of those usual places that you would search. And there were no charges on her credit cards or activity.
Brady, that's a great question. She says, I missed a lot, but could there have been someone hiding in her back seat? Absolutely. I don't see any reason why. I mean, I don't know if she was one to look in her back seat. She did have tinted windows also. We have to remember they said that they couldn't tell who was driving. That's an excellent question. Excellent. So it makes me wonder. Well, I don't know because there's cameras at her house. So the camera would have had to have shown someone getting in that car because she had cameras because there's video of her leaving her apartment in her car. So I don't know. That's great, Brady. Brady should have been a detective. I'm telling you right now, she's good. She's on it. They didn't steal the car, phone, or wallet. Nope, they didn't take anything except for her. Yeah, I'm impressed. I was looking like, wait a minute, Brady, that's yeah. But there is that camera, but it makes you wonder now if someone familiar in that complex there that she lives in, they may know how to get around those cameras. But that is a great, great question. I'm not sure what the legal tent for California is, Chris. I have no idea. I only know Missouri laws. It's California, so I could tell you what, it's opposite of what I know. She would keep the doors locked if she loved it. Yeah, definitely. And I think the doors were locked. We'll have to listen. I think the doors of the car was locked. I'm pretty sure. Let's continue. I think they do say that.
On her bank account.
Well, wasn't her wallet in the car?
Yeah.
So, I mean,
you can take a card out of a wallet, but but no activity on anything. And there were no signs of foul play. Like there wasn't blood in the car, there wasn't, nothing like that, right? Arelie was just gone. All they had was a car in a place it had no reason to be and a seat that was back further than it should have been. Detective Edwin Cruz told reporters that when Arelie left the apartment, no one approached her and there was no indication that her vehicle was followed. The only other clue that emerged in the early days was surveillance footage from the Carmel Highlands General Store that captured a vehicle matching Arelie's Honda traveling south. Now, the time that was seen on camera and the direction it was going fits with the Salinas to Big Sur route. The problem is Arelie's windows are heavily tinted, another modification that she made, so it's impossible to see who is driving the car. You can't tell if it's a man, a woman. I mean, you can't see anything. And
all right, so now I'm kind of going with Brady's theory. So what if she already had picked someone else up or someone in that complex had already been in her car and it would be an everyday thing? Maybe it's whoever's parked beside her. But it would be locked. She would have had it locked. Not that they couldn't get in either anyway. If somebody wants in, they're going to get in, but I don't know. Brady, that's so possible. But that camera's right there. Unless that wasn't her home footage, maybe it was a neighbor's, cam that picked that up, and we don't know that wasn't who was in the back seat. I mean, we don't know. This is all just allegedly. I'm not blaming anyone because we don't have any idea what's going on here. Yeah, she wasn't seen on any other cameras. Doodlebug at 70%. What's 70%? Oh, 70% tint? Okay.
What I will say is they didn't release that video, so I've never seen that particular video. I've just seen other photos of her car, and those windows were dark.
That's unfortunate.
Yeah. So not only do we not know if Arelie was driving, we don't know if she was alone.
Right.
The Independent reported that if no one approached her at the apartment and there's no indication she was followed, then something may have happened later after she was already on the road. Or she may have intentionally gone somewhere first. Or something else entirely could have happened. Once Arelie's case began hitting the news, another question came up. Was her case related to another one nearby? Around 5 weeks before Arelie disappeared, another young Salinas woman, 20-year-old Kaylee Gamble, went missing and was later found dead in Big Sur. She was also last seen walking out of her apartment. 13 days later, a hiker called 911 after seeing her body at the bottom of a cliff. Police have ruled her death a homicide, but haven't released any more details. Both of the women were similar in age and appearance, and the Salinas to Big Sur connection is pretty compelling.
Yeah.
Kaylee and Arelie only lived less than a mile away from each other, too. Now, there's no indication that they knew each other or were connected in any other way, but it obviously led to both family members and reporters asking about the possibility of the cases being linked. Arelie's sister, Veronica, told Dateline that they weren't sure if the cases were connected, but they did say, quote, "It's very shady," end quote, which of course it is.
Yeah, I mean, there's way too many similarities between the two.
Yeah.
Did they find Kaylee's car?
No, not that I know of.
Body?
They just found her body. I don't know if she had a car. I don't know
Yeah.
anything about it because unfortunately, there just really isn't a lot out there about her case in general. Detective R.S. Wilson, who handled Kaylee Gamble's homicide case, said he has seen no evidence connecting the two. He told Dateline, quote, "I don't like saying absolutely there's no way they were connected or absolutely they were connected. What I do is I look for evidence, and I've seen no evidence that there's connection between these two cases," end quote.
I mean, it is circumstantial.
It is. I mean, there's no hard evidence because, like I said, there's no known connection between them. In terms of like job, the gym, the apartments,
But the two
boyfriends,
locations
friends.
are
That's so
very
weird.
specific. Yes. I mean, that leads me to think, okay, well, it's a serial killer,
Yeah.
stalking women of that age, and that would be the only connection. Would just be that that's his hunting ground.
Yeah.
And his dumping ground.
Right. But no sign of Arelie was found. And, it is interesting because they did find Kaylee's body at the bottom of a cliff, but they didn't rule it a suicide. Police have been very tight-lipped. And that detective, like I said, was interviewed by Dateline, and they tried to get a little bit more out of him. They're like, okay, well, do you think she was dumped there?
Right. Was there evidence of a sexual assault? Was there evidence of a murder and then she was thrown from the cliff?
Exactly. Like, do you think he tried to find out? He's like, do you think she was killed there, or was she just dumped there, or like what's going on? And the detective wouldn't give him anything. So, I mean, all we know is that they don't think it was a suicide, even though she was found at the bottom of a cliff, which could potentially indicate that. So they have other evidence that tells them that's not what it was.
Which they're not going to release.
Right. But again, a body dump is very different from a body concealment.
Right.
With that said, if we are talking about a killer who went after both of these women, he could have dumped this body and then the body was found.
The only problem I have with it being serial is that these are the only two in that year, in that area. Now, I'm not saying that a serial would go and do 90. I'm just saying if it is a serial, there will be more. But the first one's found, but Arelie is not. And that's what's got me confused. Like, if it's serial, he would almost want them to be found at some point because that's what they want. They want the notoriety. They want to be seen. Look what I did. Look what I did. But with her, I don't know. Maybe the person had a connection. I mean, Brady. I'm part blind. After one of my eye surgeries, a while after, I cleaned out the wrong van thinking it was mine. Well, Brady, anytime you feel like cleaning, honey, you come on over. I think they said 5 weeks. In 5 weeks' time, the girl was found and Arelie went missing. So that is 5 weeks. But you would think if it was serial, there would be more, but maybe there are more, just not in that area. But he may be in that area. Maybe. This very well could go one way or the other. I don't have answers to any of this. I think this is crazy. Like, every time I think I get something figured out, I'm like, nope, that's not right either. It's a lot, really.
13 days later, so he could have gone, oh shit, I need to do better next time,
right,
and actually conceal the body.
But then it makes me wonder what evidence they pulled from the car. Were they able to get fingerprints?
Yeah, so in terms of, evidence processing with the car, they've never made anything like that public.
Well, I would imagine that if it was something like they hadn't processed the car and then just returned it to the family, we would know that. Because I'm sure the family would have said something.
Yeah, and her family's been very outspoken, and, they haven't been completely happy with the way Salinas police have handled Arelie's case, but they've never said that. So what happened to Arelie Garcia? Makes sense if somebody was suicidal and decided to drive over an hour to Big Sur to end their life. There were plenty of places you would go if that was your plan, and this just is not one of them. And one of the other things that police were looking into was an accidental death too, because obviously that happens a lot in Big Sur. Hikers go out, they get lost, they succumb to the elements. Hikers go out, they fall, things like that. But the police are like, this is not an area where you would go hiking and get injured and not be able to find your way out. This just was not that place.
More questions than answers.
Yeah. And, and I think just people have this idea of Big Sur, and, there are these super tall bridges and super.
If you really think about it, she works on vehicles. This perpetrator very well could have went there to have his vehicle serviced. And that could be he spotted her, and you never know. There are some real weirdos out there. I mean, really, maybe she worked on somebody's car and he's like, oh, hey, Brady, I've almost climbed into the wrong vehicle on multiple occasions when I headed out with friends. Laugh out loud and scary. It happens. I'm telling you, It happens. They didn't mention that connection. Okay. Okay.
Dog cliffs, and that's obviously true, but it's just not where her car was. Now, other people have said that maybe she was kidnapped. The idea there is that Arelie was intercepted and attacked at some point, and that her car and belongings were dumped at Big Sur. Arelie had no connection to Big Sur. Like, her sisters weren't even sure she'd ever even been there, other than like maybe driving through or whatever. And her car was parked in a popular pull-off spot for tourists, so it would have gone unnoticed for hours or even days if her family hadn't tracked her phone location there.
Right.
So was the fact that it was found quickly kind of a mistake on the kidnapper's part, right? Like, maybe, like, did they just not think that she could have been tracked through her phone when he left her phone and her other stuff there? Like, it seems a little unlikely that they would have made such a big mistake, but, criminals are dumb. Like, they make mistakes. So I
That's how
don't
they
know.
get caught.
Exactly. Because, I don't know that a lot of families would have jumped into action that quickly, and I think that if there was foul play, if there was somebody else involved, they probably weren't anticipating people to come after her just a few hours later.
I mean, the evidence to me suggests, and this is just theoretical, of course, but it suggests more than one person.
Oh, really?
There's no evidence of foul play or anything in the car.
I agree.
So if it was a single person, let's say he drugged her on the way into the gym, nobody heard or saw anything, and she's in the trunk of the car or whatever. He drives up to Big Sur and goes where? Does what? Either with her or he walks off.
Of course, you're
Probably
right.
not.
That's a good point. How the hell did he get out of Big Sur?
Unless, and I hate to say this, but unless she was having car trouble and she needed a part. I mean, she may be a mechanic, but you can't fix a car without a part unless somebody pulled over and she was broke down and they're like, "Hey, I'll take you to go get the part, or you can follow me. I'll make sure you get there. And I know a safe place to park here. I live here, so I'll follow you." And then before you know it, bam. Or that, yeah, doodles. Or they saw her at the gym and was like, "Oh, isn't she pretty?" And then just started stalking until this. You just never know. We don't even know if she made it to the gym. But if she did make it to the gym, we don't know that the perp wasn't at the gym. And maybe he crawled in. Maybe he needed a ride somewhere. And she's like, "Okay, get in. I'll give you a ride. And then I'll go to work." Who knows? She was a kind person. They said she was kind.
After he left the car.
Probably his accomplice that had her in another car.
Yeah. You're right. I mean, it would have been tough for somebody to dump the car. I mean,
And her body
somewhere and then get out of that area. And if it wasn't a body dump and he was just dumping the car, then then where was she at that time?
Right.
And all of this happened in a matter of hours.
Right. So unless this guy was really well rehearsed,
right,
and knew exactly what to do, I mean, you're talking. Let's say that he didn't even put her in her car.
Mm-hmm.
He acted alone, drugged her somehow, got her into his car, took her somewhere, secured her, then went back to the site where the car was, picked up the car, drove it to Big Sur. Then what?
Yeah, it's still the same problem. How to get out?
I don't see any way that this is an abduction by somebody by themselves.
Yeah, that's a good point.
If it was an abduction.
Right, which we don't know if it was.
Right.
This case was featured on the Dateline Missing in America podcast, like I mentioned, and they brought up a good point. Arelie was obsessed with her car. It was customized, like I've mentioned, and it was very distinctive. Her Instagram was also filled with photos of her and this car. So if somebody became obsessed with her and wanted to follow her around, it would have been relatively easy. But if someone had been creeping around or following Arelie, she never mentioned any concerns to anyone. So if that had happened, if it was somebody who had been eyeing her specifically for some amount of time, she wasn't aware.
And she may not be aware if she works with them every day or if she's at the gym with them every day. I'm just saying. Or a neighbor. I mean, she lived in an apartment. We don't know. I do feel like someone knew her routine because she's very routine, and they definitely use that to their advantage. I could be wrong. I mean, obviously, it's just my opinion, but I do feel like they knew her routine for sure.
Was her Instagram profile public?
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's still up, and so I've seen it.
So it could have been anybody.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
It's not like if it was private, then maybe they could have gone down that road of seeing, who's liking more pictures or commenting on the pictures. If it's open to the public, then, anybody could have seen it.
Right.
So,
and, she apparently attended a lot of events, like, not like official car shows, but, like around here, they have those like coffee and car things.
Yeah.
Like she attended a bunch of stuff like that. And like I said, she was an attractive young woman who was in this very male dominated space. I think she would have stood out.
For sure.
And so you can see the possibility that somebody would have been infatuated with her and it led to something else. But then again, going back to what you were saying, was it two people? Like, I mean, every time you add more people into something like this, I feel like the less likely it becomes, because then you've got to like have all these different people coordinating and keeping secrets and working together. And, it just seems like so many more things can go wrong. And in this case, a lot of things, unfortunately, if it was foul play, a lot of things went right for whoever's responsible.
So then we're back to what? That she drove her car up there, moved the car seat back, didn't lower it when she parked it, left all of her belongings behind and just walked off.
Yeah. And wasn't located in any of these extensive searches. The dogs didn't catch her scent.
Right.
Like nothing. I mean, honestly, other than her car being there was nothing to indicate that Arelie herself had ever set foot in Big Sur.
Right.
The problem I also have with like a stranger abduction theory or like even an obsessed stalker theory or whatever, grabbing her that morning is the fact that she had already deviated from her routine.
Right. There is that.
While her texts seemed completely normal, her movements that morning weren't. She was already leaving her house at a time she wouldn't normally have left. She was dressed in a way she wouldn't normally be dressed at that time of day. And to me, like the entire thing screams that she was meeting someone. But there's no actual evidence of that either.
Or they have her phone, so they could have gone through her text messages.
Yeah, her phone records, everything, her social media, her DMs, like everything. They've had access to that since day one. Investigators interviewed dozens of people, including, according to Oxygen, Arelie's boyfriend, co-workers, and others, but no arrests were made. There's no publicly reported evidence proving coercion, abduction, or homicide. Based on the few seconds of video we see of Arelie that morning and the text she sent to her sister, it seems as though that if she was meeting someone that morning, she wasn't like concerned about it. She didn't seem frantic or anything like that. She seemed casual, not like she was heading to some life-changing meeting or entering a potentially dangerous situation. So if this was just like a pre-work coffee meeting or something like that, wouldn't there be evidence on her phone? Wouldn't there be a "I'm leaving my apartment now, see you in a few" text?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like there would be phone calls. It seems so odd to me that she would decided to leave her apartment and meet someone without having apparently any evidence of that on her phone. Now, I did mention a boyfriend.
Yep.
As for the boyfriend, Arelie's sister Ellie appeared on Nancy Grace and clarified that a little bit. According to her, they found out that she had been seeing a man named Marcelo. Now, of course, Nancy Grace jumped on that immediately. She's like, well, where's he? What was he doing? What would have the police talk to him? Why was she keeping him a secret? But from what Ellie said, the police did interview him, and he and Arelie had been casually dating, but weren't really in a relationship. Like, he wasn't actually her boyfriend yet, from what it sounds like. And Ellie said that she didn't believe that Arelie had been keeping him a secret per se.
It just was a new relationship.
Exactly. And Ellie said on Nancy Grace, she's like, listen, we have a really big Latina family, and if you bring someone around, they're going to ask you when the wedding is.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So in their traditional, I guess, in their Hispanic ways, they feel like they would have known, like she would have brought this guy home to meet her family. Like that's just part of it. So I don't know. Like I'm so confused. I still have to go with someone maybe stalking her. That's just my opinion, but it feels like either she knew them at the gym, she knew them from the mechanic shop. I mean, you got to figure a lot of men bring vehicles in to get fixed. On top of her at the gym, you've got gym trainers. I'm sure they interviewed them, but that doesn't mean that they're innocent. I mean, you can interview 100 people, but maybe one of those 100 could be it. The sad part is there's no direction for them to go to try to look for her. This is heartbreaking and very mysterious. It's just so sad. People don't just disappear. Someone knows something.
And so she's like, so it doesn't surprise me at all that she hadn't brought this guy around. She's like, and I don't see that as like a red flag, So it does appear as though Marcelo has been ruled out, but we unfortunately don't have any more information other than that. According to Veronica, they have spoken to him directly, like meaning the sisters, and in addition to the police, of course. And he told them that he doesn't know anything about what Arelie could have been doing that morning. As the weeks turned into months, the leads in Arelie's case dried up. Her family staged a protest in front of the Salinas Police Department. They wanted to get more publicity for her case, but they also felt as though the police weren't doing as much as they could. Veronica told Dateline, quote, "They would kind of leave us in the dark. We weren't sure what was going on," end quote. In December 2022, nearly 3 months after Arelie's disappearance, Salinas police spokesman Commander Brian Johnson spoke with reporters saying, quote, "I would tell the family that we're searching hard. We're working. We understand that the sadness that you're feeling, and of course, we want to find her just as much as you do. We're investigating it the best we can with the resources that we have, trying to find any sort of indication of where she might be. And I know the holiday season is coming up, and we're hoping for the best," end quote. But the holidays came and went that year, and there was an empty seat at the Garcia's table. At the 1-year mark in September 2023, there was a candlelight vigil. At the 2-year mark in September 2024, family, friends, and loved ones marched through the streets of Salinas dressed in pink, Arelie's favorite color, and later held a rosary and mass in her honor.
Well, that's nice.
At the 2-year anniversary, Ellie told KSBW, quote, "We are doing this so her name stays alive. We want her story to still be out there. We want to know what happened to her. It's been a long 2 years already. We are still not giving up on her," end quote. In 2024, Arelie's mother made a public plea, quote, "Arelie, if you are seeing this, please come back. We are waiting here with open arms." July 2024 is when the sisters were interviewed for Missing in America, and in that interview, they both expressed hope that Arelie was still out there somewhere, alive. Veronica told SFGate, quote, "We believe it in our hearts that she's still out there somewhere for sure," end quote. Ellie said on Oxygen, quote, "We know she's going to come back one day," end quote. It's just so hard to say because nothing really fits.
No, it doesn't. I mean, like you brought up, if it was somebody that was obsessed with her and stalking her, the fact that she left her apartment an hour later would have thrown that off, right? Like,
right. And even if they were there and they happened to be there at that right time, right? Then it's just a coincidence that she threw her entire morning schedule off.
right. The day she went missing.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
then again, like, and what you said, like, if somebody did drive her car out there and then left the car, they would have had to have somebody else involved. They would have had to have an accomplice unless Arelie herself was the accomplice.
But then why would somebody else be driving her car?
Right. Like, I mean, the only way that that makes sense is if it was a staged disappearance. If she was the accomplice, if she went with somebody, if she met up with somebody, they decided to drive out there. I get what you're saying though. Like, why wouldn't she have been the one who drove her car out there?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Because you're right. Even then, like, it would have made.
I don't agree with that. I don't think that Arelie planned her own disappearance. I honest to God don't. I think this was someone that knew her routine, followed her, caught her off guard, and this is what has happened. I don't know how they managed this, but they've managed it this long, which is heartbreaking. This is so sad for her parents, for her.
More sense for her to drive her car out there and then leave all of her stuff behind and then get back into the car with the other person
Right.
and leave. So yeah, like why would somebody else drive her car and then she drives somebody else's car? But
Yeah.
again, like a staged disappearance, like in general, just doesn't fit with who she was or like what was going on in
Yeah.
her
I mean,
life.
it doesn't fit with anything. Like,
It doesn't.
Why would you go to that much trouble
Right.
to stage a disappearance? Like, just leave.
Yeah, exactly. Just leave. But it didn't, again, there's just no indication that she would have wanted to leave.
Yeah.
Then you get back to Kaylee, was there a connection there? And was the fact that her body was found and Arelie's body not found indicative of the person who took both of them getting better? Or are they just unconnected? It sounds as though it's I believe it's the sheriff's department who's handling Kaylee's case because she was found in Big Sur
Mm-hmm.
and Salinas is covering Arelie's case. So it's two different departments, but I want to say I think it was the sheriffs who said that they think the two cases are not connected. Like they said that publicly. And so, I have to imagine that there's specific evidence in Kaylee's case that hasn't been released that would lead them to say that. Like they might have a specific suspect in mind.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like domestic, like,
Right.
Something along those lines where there's like very much not a connection to Arelie, but they just have been so tight-lipped with Kaylee's case. And again, Kaylee's case is still unsolved. It's also been over 3 years for her case. So if they did have like a suspect in mind or something like that, they haven't gotten there.
Well, they might have a suspect in mind, but not enough evidence to convict.
Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah.
But nothing makes sense. Again, suicide doesn't make sense. And yes, every time this is a possibility, you get the people who are like, well, of course her family says it's not something they would ever do, blah, blah, blah. But in this case, again, it's just other than her car being left behind with her belongings, it wasn't next to a bridge that she would jump off. Like, it wasn't in a place where that would make sense.
It also wasn't in a place that meant anything to her.
Exactly.
Like the last case that we had that was very similar to this.
Yeah.
His car was found by his favorite burrito place.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So it's like, it's significance there.
Right. And it was in his town too. Like, it was where he lived. Like,
Yeah.
it wasn't
It wasn't
an
an hour
hour
and a-
away.
Yeah, right.
In a place that her family doesn't think she'd ever even gone to before.
Right.
So yeah, it's just so strange. And then you get back to the car seat being in the wrong place, the car being parked differently. So what about suicide would make you do any of that?
Don't know.
Like, nothing fits. The case is so strange and the details are so unsettling that it's easy to start speaking certainties that just aren't there. And I've seen this in all the forums as I was researching this case. Like, it's easy to say that someone else had to be driving. It's easy to say she had to be meeting someone. Easy to say the police must know more than they're saying, although I do think that part is true. I mean, at least I hope they know more than what they're saying. And it's easy to say that it must be connected to another case, but the horrible truth is we just don't know. 3.5 years later, all we really know is that Arelie Garcia left her Salinas home on the morning of September 22nd, 2022. She was captured on surveillance getting into a bright red Honda. She sent a normal-seeming text to her sister. She never made it to work. Later that day, her car was found in a turnout in Big Sur with her personal belongings inside. Search teams found no trace of her, and today, she's still missing. What we're left with at the end of it is a pile of unanswered questions. Where was she going? Why did she veer so far from her routine? Who parked that car? And what happened between her apartment in Salinas and that turnoff in Big Sur? Arelie has parents and 6 siblings who love and miss her, and they haven't stopped looking, and they haven't stopped fighting for people to pay attention to her case. On the 3-year anniversary, Ellie and Veronica released a statement. It read in part, quote, "Our parents have endured 3 years of heartache, waking up each morning not knowing if their daughter is safe, what happened to her, or if they will ever see her again. No parent should live with that kind of silence." On September 22nd, it will mark 1,096 days. 1,096 days of heartbreak, unanswered questions, and no justice. For our family, Arelie is not forgotten. She is our sister, she is loved, she is missed, and she deserves to be found.
Okay, guys, I guess that's really all I have for you tonight. Pink, thank you so much for this case. This is a good one. Thank you so much. I'm gonna dig more into the other victim, see what I can find. I'm sure I can't find anything that the law enforcement didn't find. But I just want to thank each and every one of you for spending your evening with me. I greatly appreciate it. Mark and Betty, thank you for modding tonight. Chris, thank you for modding. I should have modded you last night whenever you gave me the case. I didn't. So, guys, if you will please say a thank you to Mark and Betty and Chris for modding tonight. They did an excellent job. Although poor Mark and Betty hasn't got to throw anybody else out yet, but they will. I'm sure they will. So, guys, if you have any cases that you think I would be good covering, please just send them to me. I'm on Facebook under Doodlebug, or I have a Discord. I don't use it. I don't have one of those little things where everybody chit chats and all that. I don't do that. I do have a Discord if you want to message me, and it's under Doodlebug A4RC. But I don't join anybody's Discords. I don't get in there to get to know people. I got burned way too many times playing with that fire. I won't play that again ever again. With that being said, guys, keep sending those cases in. You'll get to mod that night. And if you've never modded and you don't have a case, just get a hold of me and be like, hey, I've never modded. I would love to try. Because I feel like we all need to be equal. Nobody's better than anyone else. You're very welcome, Pink. Thank you for the case. With that being said, guys, God bless each and every one of you. I hope you get a wonderful night's sleep, even though it's probably daylight and Far's just starting her day. You have a great day, Far. Guys, thank you so much for joining. God bless you all. I wish you the best. Sleep well. Feel love. Until next time, goodbye, guys.
In a world that turns too fast, some are lost, left in the past. but we won't let silence win. We'll speak their names again. Voices rising through the dark. Every story leaves a mark. We are the ones who won't forget. The fight for truth is not done yet. We shine the light, we raise the call. For the missing, the broken, we stand tall. For justice, for healing, forever